Hello, hi, I'm Sinead Moffat and life coach and founder of the Limitless Living program that we're about to talk about today. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm thinking of recently I've been watching the Game of Thrones, and every time they introduce the Mother of Dragons woman, it's like 2 hours later. It's like Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains, all this stuff. So I'm Sinead Moffat, breaker of limiting beliefs and life coach and personal growth enthusiast and personal power activist. We could go on all day. Anyway, sorry about that little interruption. I'm here today to talk a little bit about our personal power and how we step into not believing our thoughts and breaking the belief systems that hold us back from living our happiest lives. And I have a little bit of experience in this area because I struggled a lot. And the good thing about struggling is, well, it's not good at the time, but it's always good when it sort of forces enough pain on you that you do something about it and you try and change it. And that's exactly what I did. So all throughout my 20s, I suffered from huge anxiety. Like anxiety where I thought, I can't drive there because I'm going to pass out in the car and who knows what will happen. Or OCD to the point where I couldn't leave my house because I was terrified of everything. Basically, I was afraid of the world. Um, and a lot of overthinking, a lot of depression then came along with it a little bit because, it's very boring being anxious all the time. So I kind of went in a crazy loop from anxiety to depression, from anxiety to depression. And I did that for a long time till I got tired of it. I got really, really tired of it because, I was like, this can't be what life is about. On top of all that, I was a people pleaser, which means I attracted all sorts of narcissists and people who were willing to take and take and take from the relationship. And I started feeling emptier and emptier. And then I started feeling a little bit of resentment because I was giving too much. So I basically ended up desperate. I was out of balance. My head was a scary place to be because the thoughts were negative. But I did have this sense that there was more, that maybe I was wrong, maybe that this wasn't the truth. So I devoured every personal growth book. I watched every episode of Oprah. I mean, that was the gateway drug really into the personal growth field. This was before when she had her talk show. And I just went on a personal mission to figure out what's going to work, what's going to help me. And then when I did, of course, they say the fastest the way around the world is to tell a woman. And I felt compelled to share it with everyone. I was like, well, I can't keep this for myself. I have to share. So sharing is caring. So I started putting a little notebook aside and first of all, I created something like Life Masterclass, but I found that a bit boring. And it was too long. So I condensed it into 3 parts and came up with this program called Limitless Living. Now, I think I'm going to further change it into just 3 separate programs because it's a lot. There's a lot of information and it's overload. And I think that they could be 3 standalone projects. But for now, we'll just talk overview and I'll tell you a little bit about each section. So the first part, and it's really about creating your ideal life and your happiest life and your most fulfilled life. And that's going to be different for everyone. And that's why you can get to custom create your own. It's your own process and you can do it in the comfort of your own home. Like, we don't need anyone's permission to do better or to be happier in life. It's an inner job. It's inner work. And you can do it at home in your pajamas if you want to. You can do it at a group. You could have a Friday night girls group when you could do it together. There's no rules. It's just, if you want your life to be better, it doesn't happen just by chance. It doesn't, you're not just going to wake up one morning I thought that would happen for a while. I was like, oh, I'm just going to wake up tomorrow morning and things are going to be better. Well, it wasn't. And it didn't happen that way. There was no magic wand. So the closest thing to a magic wand was this personal growth industry that I found. And I was into metaphysics and all sorts of other things as well. But this was the closest thing to a magic wand that you can find, and you must do the work. To get the results, you must do the work and you must put in the effort and the self-analysis and all this stuff. But it's worth it. It's worth it because you can live your absolute dream life. You can live your most fulfilling and best version of yourself. And personally for me, inner peace and happiness and success, that is success. That's the definition of success for me, especially after having such a busy mind. Inner peace is like winning the lottery. But I managed to hack all areas of my life and I work on it consistently. But here's the Limitless Living program is sort of the introduction. And I have this thing on my bathroom wall that says, it's not a question of can you, it's a question of will you. And that's what I keep in my mind all the time when I sort of approach these kind of programs, because I know only 10% of people finish an online program that they buy. To me, I was like, that is some bull. I do not want to be part of the 90% of people who drop everything, because I know how you do anything is how you do everything. So I would challenge you, before you even hear what the program is, I would challenge you to be like, no, I'm going to be one of the 10%ers, because that's how you change your life. There are the people who end up with the bonus of success and happiness and everything because they do the work. So where does it all start? It starts at part 1, which is called breaking free. And this is about the power of your thinking, your thoughts, and how they're creating your reality. It's very, very important, because I didn't think that my thoughts were having any impact. I was ignorant of the fact that my thoughts were powerful, or that they could manifest things, or that they were even important at all. I just thought that's just me. I thought I was my thoughts, which was the biggest mistake that I could have ever made. When I detached from the notion that I was my thoughts, this was very empowering. This was like the first step to empowerment, because I realized that my thoughts were just sort of a Twitter feed of what's happening in the world. They were sort of just reporting what was going on, and everything was based on the past. So it wasn't creative, it wasn't fun, it wasn't empowering, and it wasn't until I started to think deliberately that I started to change things. So the first part of breaking free, our Limitless Living, is called breaking free, where you break from the pattern. So if you're ready for a breakthrough, this is the part for you, breaking free. Because a breakthrough happens when your belief system is questioned. And when it's questioned, there's holes in the boat, so you can't really go back to the same dimensions that you used to think. So questioning everything is the first step to sort of healing and changing things. And we have all of these beliefs programmed in our mind. A belief is basically a thought that you've thought so often that it becomes a shortcut in the subconscious mind. So yes, your beliefs can be changed. And here's an example, because I know people find beliefs, they think, oh, is this something to do with religion? It hasn't. Here's an example of a belief. If I hold up, and I don't have it right now, but if I hold up my camera to you, what are you going to do? Right? This is the most universal belief system that every person on earth pretty much shares. If I hold up my camera to you and I say smile, everyone smiles, even if I didn't say smile. Or here, they could say cheese. That's programming. It's a response that you've already filed away, or when you're driving, the first time you drive, it's difficult, but the 10th or 15th or 20th time, you're already programmed. Your subconscious has it. It's got it. But it's the same thing for a lot of things in life, like things like we believe we can't do certain things, for example, or we believe that's not for me, or I'm not worthy of that, or I don't deserve that. And all of these things can be changed. So the good news is there's some exercises just to see, first of all, do you have any pesky beliefs that are holding you back? It's kind of like the first section is kind of like cleaning out the house. So do I actually have them? And an easy way to do it, like if you're not going to do the course right now, or even just now if you have some time, a good thing to check on a belief system is like you pick an area of your life that's going really well. Like I have a friend who's a great friend, and her friendships are super important to her, and she's brilliant at friendship, in my opinion. So when I do this exercise with her, I'll say friendships are, and you have to finish the sentence fast. So friendships are fantastic. Friendships are nourishing. Friendships are amazing. Friendships are brilliant, whatever it is. And everything that comes out of her mouth is positive. So you can see that area in her life is very positive. And then you can do the same with every area. So you can see if there's beliefs. This is just a broad exercise, but it's something to leave you with today so that you can see if there's anything pesky kind of under the hood. And so if we were to do it for someone who didn't have, say, a block, say there's someone who's not very good at love or romantic relationships, you would start it off, marriages or relationships are, or men are, for example, if you're a woman, men are, and then however you finish the sentence, men are untrustworthy, or men are dishonest, or men are liars, or men are cheaters, whatever. I actually had someone who had these exact beliefs and then was wondering, well, why are my relationships not going well? Well, there were some beliefs standing in the way of the relationship working. Your beliefs will always win. Your beliefs will always be right. So whether you like them or you don't like them, they will always be right. So my advice is, when you're setting goals, Or when you want your life to be better, you need to look at that area. So if the goal is in health and fitness or relationships or money or whatever it is, you have to ask yourself, is there a belief that's going against this? Like my husband had a belief that he couldn't have a six-pack. It was hard work, it was too much, it wasn't for him, he wasn't worthy of it, whatever the beliefs were. So I said to him, you either change the belief or you change the goal, but you usually don't get both. So it's well worth looking at your beliefs first before you even attempt to make goals, because they could stand in your way. So that's my little tip for that. So the whole part one is about your thinking, how to control your thinking and think deliberately, and how to see if you have beliefs that are holding you back. So that's part one. Part two then is a bit more exciting. It kind of goes into how do you get yourself into a higher vibration. So there are people you know that are probably lower vibrational people, negative, you feel like they complain a lot, they're in a lower state, they get angry at stuff. And then there are people who it seems like everything comes easy to them. They're in a higher vibrational state. So I teach in not chapter 2, but part 2, how to get yourself into that state. And I call it the state of flow. So now we've cleaned out the house, we've got into the state of flow, and then the third part is the exciting part, and that's where you go wild and you create all your dreams and all the material things you want and all the whatever, how you want your relationship to look. So it's basically like a giant vision board. And that will be easier for you because now you've done the work. Like now you've cleaned out the house. You know, like Louise Hay says, you can't clean the house if you don't see the dirt. So part 3 is all about that. So I would love you guys to have it. I hope you enjoy it. And, you know, it's so important that we do this work for ourselves. It's not really, you know, it's not a heroic way to live in a mediocre life. It's the easiest life to live. Mediocrity. It's the easiest thing in the world to get and complain, or to have a victim story that I keep attracting the same person. You can change it. You can break a cycle. So you can break an old belief system. I have a mantra now that I use, like if one pops into my head, I'll say that's an old story. That's the old version of me. But there is no contract with the old version of you to stay the old version of you. You can get up and you can change it. So that is my wish for you all, that you can live your happiest and most fulfilled life, that you can think deliberately and you can create consciously and have an amazing, amazing time while doing it. So if you need me, you'll find me at SineadMoffat.com, on Facebook, usually on Facebook. I think it's just facebook.com/Sinead Moffat. So you'll find me there too. And I'm pretty good at responding. I answer all my questions myself. So you'll definitely find me. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much. Bye.